we are another day closer to default, but you wouldn't tell it from the markets. We're going to dive into that. We're going to look at the latest from Tesla, Walmart, everything impacting price movement today. Before we get going, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. They're both right down there. Nothing that Kevin or I say is financial advice. We're not financial advisors. We are a few guys who love following the markets, nerding out on this stuff, looking at the macro, being extremely bearish right now. But please do all of your own research when it comes to any buying or selling decisions. Kevin, we had some news today around the job market. It did not come back the way people wanted it. We've seen Fed speak that is extremely hawkish, pointing to a possibility of another rate hike. Who's been talking about that since the last meeting?
Us.
Spoiler alert, us. We've seen the movement in the funding rate probabilities jump up to a 36% chance of a 25 basis point hike. Markets are having to price that in today. That's definitely reflected in the Dow being down, but Nasdaq is still having a strong day. S&P is creeping back toward that 4,200 level that it hasn't been able to break in over a year. So there's a lot going down at the moment. What are you thinking about the markets as we start, as we move into the middle of this day on Thursday and wrap up the trading day in TradFi?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's really impacting the markets right now. I think a lot of traders are getting a little bit scared. Again, there's tons of things to be afraid of. Obviously, this jobs day is not important. Not important. It is important, but initial jobless claims. This is not what people expected. It came in below expectations, which means that the Fed's probably going to go higher for longer. That's that fear we're seeing there. I think a lot of people are also afraid of the debt ceiling and how that's going to affect Treasury bills. So a lot of them are maturing on June 1st. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We're seeing the dollar absolutely skyrocket right now. Like who was talking about the dollar for the past 6 months? Us. Again, it's insane. This way, yeah, in this general area. But the dollar's just going nuts right now. It's like a freak on a leash, unleashed. But sorry, I had to throw that corn reference in there. But dollar's absolutely strong right now. I think markets are. It's weird how some of them are still pumping despite the DXY being so strong. It seems like the short term gains that we're seeing now, when we look at the macro, might not be the case, in the coming weeks to months. But I feel fine today. I'm absolutely at peace with what's going on in the market. I think maybe we're starting to get a little bit of a dose of reality, but let's see if that is something that's going to be a sustainable price to. At least in the short term.
Yeah. So with the initial jobless claims, came in at 242,000. Expectation was 255,000. Previous number was 264,000. So it came in 22,000 under the previous one and 13 under expectations. Reason that's important is the Fed wants to see tightening in the labor market. And when we're missing expectations on new jobless claims, that shows that just not happening. And they're going to have to keep trying to push rates to get people to, get these jobless claims higher. But like right now, like that number has been under expectations constantly, like for months and months and months. So that's problem number one. And then we had multiple Fed, governors, presidents speaking today, and they've made it very clear that like the job is not done when it comes to inflation, to raising rates. They're very open to raising 25 basis points in June. And this thought that we're going to see 3 cuts this year, that a lot of the market is pricing in, a lot of different investment firms are pricing in cuts in September, November, and December. That just seems asinine. Like, I don't know. These people are smarter than me, right? But I don't get where they're getting this from, unless something big breaks. I mean, maybe unless something really big breaks, but that's also going to be terrible for the market. So
yeah.
I think maybe we're starting to see a little bit of the bullishness wear off, but you wouldn't be able to tell that if you looked at tech. We're seeing NVIDIA having a monster day, strong day from Amazon. Netflix is going nuclear, up almost 10%. Walmart doing okay on the back of their earnings. I know it's not tech, but Walmart earnings came out this morning. Q1 sales increased nearly 8%. That's why they're up on the day. But if you look at it a little bit further, we saw that grocery sales are offsetting a lot of the declining sales in clothing and electronics. So the discretionary spending is already taking a hit. This is not surprising whatsoever. We've been talking about this for a while. Last week, I brought up Walmart as a stock to hold, as more of a defensive stock. And this is why, right? Like we're seeing people maybe go from their higher price grocery store into a Walmart because they need to save some money. That's going to save Walmart. That's going to help Walmart in that sector, while at the same time they're kind of getting hit in electronics. They stated in their press release that they're seeing much higher sales volume around discretionary spending when sales are happening, right? When there's a discount on electronics, when there's a discount on food and clothing. So I think you have to keep that in mind when it comes to any of these. Is we're starting to see the effects of higher inflation really wearing on consumers, that higher debt that everyone's carrying, the fact they're not paying off their debt. Like that's a big problem right now. And we're going to see it in a lot of these tech companies. It's going to hit Apple, it's going to hit Tesla, which we'll get into here in a little bit, but it's problematic. And I don't really see how people can continue to be bullish, and this rally can go a whole lot longer when the American consumer is just getting crushed.
Yeah, nobody's paying off their credit card debt. That's first off, that's the bottom all the way to the top, how that's going to affect, right? And obviously the Fed rates continuing to rise is going to just be a trickle down all the way down. So it's back and forth. Everyone's getting fucked in this scenario. It's I don't see a way where, again, Ace brought up Apple. I didn't know Apple's market cap was so high, how much it's shot up since COVID, but it's like, okay, when people owe a ton of money, all their credit cards are maxed out, and they want to get the new iPhone, are they going to be able to? Are they going to be able to get a new Mac, an iMac? I know kids are going back to school pretty soon. Well, actually, no, the school's getting out. But in a few months, they'll be going back to school. But we're being in a recession. So do you think they're really going to get a new iMac? Or are they just going to, buy a HP or something like that?
Exactly.
Point is, people are going to make, some defensive spending, some cuts in the budget. And some of these luxury goods that, the brand, obviously people like the brand name. But can you afford it? Is it feasible for your family to be able to buy this at a time like this? Probably not. So we're definitely going to see some negative price action again for a lot of these companies. Probably going to see some bad earnings going forward. But again, this is going to take time. We're just seeing it right now that consumer debt is absolutely insane. Like the fact that not too many people are talking about this on Bloomberg, CNBC, like they'll mention it, but this is something that's absolutely going to just hurt some of these major industries, especially retail.
Absolutely. Yeah. When kids are asking for an iPad and they get an Etch-a-Sketch instead, they're going to be pretty pissed off, but that's the direction things are going right now. That is for sure. Get a Wooly Willy. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good way to take it. My wife says that whenever I have facial hair, I look like Wooly Willy. So I'll take that as a compliment, I suppose.
Nice.
Let's move into the talk around Tesla. We had a question yesterday from one of our viewers, Miguel Morales, asked, do we think Tesla rallies more on Elon's return to the helm? Tesla just had their annual meeting in Austin, Texas on Tuesday. I'm going to go through some highlights real quick, and then we can get into his questions. So
sure.
A few bullet points from the meeting. It sounds like Cybertrucks will start to be delivered this year. They're anticipating a delivery target of 250,000 to 500,000 per year moving forward once production is underway. They're going to be trying out advertising for the first time. Tesla has been very opposed to traditional advertising, relying on word of mouth, influencers, things like that. So they're going to be trying out advertising. They're going to be looking at a new drive unit, which will need less silicon carbide and no rare earth metals. That's definitely going to help with lower production costs and an increasing margin. So I think that is definitely a positive on their end. Growth in the sales of their energy storage has actually been faster than automotive sales. The Roadster that they've been talking about since 2020, they're hoping to begin production next year. So another offering that they'll have 2024, 2025, that area, maybe once we're past the recession. And then this is a big one. They're developing a humanoid robot named Optimus. I wonder where they got that name from. Expecting it to run on the same software and computer that they use for their advanced driver assistance. And Elon Musk stated in his presentation that he believes that Optimus is going to create a majority of Tesla's long-term value, far exceeding its car production. So I thought that was an interesting thing for him. Lord knows when that's going to come out. That's way down the line. We can talk about that as far as like being bullish long-term. So those are a few highlights from the meeting. Getting back to the question of, do we think Tesla rallies more on Elon's return? What are your thoughts there? I know that we're both bearish short-term. I know you have set your price target of like $64. I don't know about all that. I'm not a technical guy. But how do you view, Elon's return to Tesla? And that was a big question they had. That was actually something that was addressed as well. Someone asked him about, his time at Twitter and taking away from Tesla, and he stated that that's a big part of why they brought in the new CEO, so that he could spend less time on Twitter and more time back over at Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Elon getting back to Tesla seems like it's going to be a pretty good thing for them. Again, I don't necessarily think Elon, again, he also had a really good interview question where he brought up the Princess Bride quote, where he's like, I really don't care what I say or anything like that. It's not about the money. You can't sway me. I'm just going to keep pushing, working hard. And it is what it is. And I really appreciate that. I think a lot of people really like Elon. Again, whether you love him or you hate him, the people who love him, they love him hard. And people absolutely love Tesla. So I don't think him coming back is a bad thing. Dude's obviously a smart guy, and it's probably going to be beneficial for Tesla long term. Obviously, long term, it's going to be beneficial. Value is going to be extremely cheap at some point, but for the short term, if it does pump, yeah, maybe. I'm not opposed. Again, we'll look at Tesla when we get into the charts. I think there is a little bit more room for a push to the upside, but there is, again, we're looking at the macroeconomic factors playing into how Tesla stock reacts to the next 6 to 8 months. Be really interesting. Hold on, Ace got some stuff in the chat. Let's see. Starlink is about to really blow up here very soon. Yeah, I agree. I think Starlink's huge. Again, this is not necessarily Tesla, but Starlink I think is going to be extremely huge. There's tons of what is it? There's like you can see the map of like all the satellites orbiting the Earth. So I think that's pretty sweet. But again, Elon has such an influence over so many things, whether it's what is it, SpaceX, Starlink, now obviously Twitter, but I think his baby right now is obviously Tesla. So getting back to that, it's going to be extremely, it's just going to be good for people who are, long on Tesla in the long term. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's going to be actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, as far as, back to the question of will it stabilize the price? I think the answer, or it will help with the price. I think it's helped stabilize it, right? Like we saw when he bought Twitter back in October, there was a definite price movement there around the fear of, him spending more time. We saw a huge sell-off in Tesla back in December. It hit its low, let's see here, January 6th at about $100, $101 a share. It doubled in the span of just a couple months. It's pulled back a little bit since then, but I do think that him spending more time is going to help keep things more stable from a price standpoint. But like Kevin was discussing on the macroeconomic side of things, I do believe that we will see Tesla, everything right now is just based around what's happening with inflation and the debt ceiling. And I don't think Tesla is going to, diverge from that too much compared to most of the other sectors, right? So most of the other stocks, like everything is just purely dictated on, are they going to reach a debt ceiling deal? And that might be a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of a thing. We're already kind of seeing that play out in some areas. At the same time, as we continue to move into this recession, if we do, God forbid, see stagflation, we're going to see a reduced demand in Tesla. We're going to see Tesla shares go down. The way that I'm handling it as someone who doesn't, day trade and doesn't really do the chart thing, I'm just going to keep, when I see, a day where Tesla is in the red, I'll just buy more stock, because I don't know if I'm up Kathy Wood level of bull where I say they're going to 2,000, 2,500 a share. I do think where they're at now is greatly undervalued to where they're going to be long-term. So I'm happy kind of buying some of the dips when they happen. Not, I'm not going to hit the absolute bottom. So I would just like to add to my position as we see things kind of get worse from a macro standpoint, because I don't care what the price really does in the coming weeks and months. 5-10 years from now, I think it's going to be in a very strong place. So that's kind of how I'm playing it, is I'll DCA on the way down. Maybe if I can catch a small buy at the bottom, that would be fantastic. But I'll just add to my position, because I bought Tesla back in like 2014 for the first time, and I sold a lot of it. I sold pretty much all of it at like 800 a share. So Tesla was very, very good to me. But I do want to get back in and add it to my portfolio once we start to see the price come down a bit.
Absolutely. And again, I'm out of all CEOs or people that are in charge of these companies, I honestly trust Elon the most in terms of being innovative and being able to guide, companies through hard times. Again, when did Tesla start? Back in like 2007, 2009, and that's like, right around the Great Recession. And, it's had a great run up all the way up till now. I don't think Tesla's going to die. I think this is a company that's going to continue to go strong into the future. Again, I'm extremely bullish on EV vehicles, electric vehicles going into 2020, 2030, 2040. There's plenty of time for this thing to explode. And if we think of electric vehicles, the first thing we think of is Elon. We think of, Tesla. So I think that, Kathy Wood might be a little bit, extremely bullish for 2025, some of those evaluations. But I do think that, say it goes to $64, like I'm projecting it to, I think that, $500-600 isn't out of the, that's not too crazy. That's a pretty conservative range, but I think that's very possible. I think Tesla has extreme amount of growth. And again, once the recession's over and we start to see consumers, feeling safe again, being able to, purchase some of these luxury items, I definitely think that, yeah, I know, man, Tesla was $35 in March 2020. It's the fact that it shot up so much and look where it is still. It's like, it's got to go back to some of those COVID lows. I don't know if it'll go down to the COVID low, but 64 is definitely an extremely strong level. But yeah, I honestly probably will be buying Tesla once we get to the bear market bottom. But one thing I really do like about Tesla, and I know Ace doesn't like it, I like the Cybertrucks, man.
I do too.
I want one. I hate to say it.
So I have a truck now, and my lease is up April of next year. And not gonna lie, if there's a Cybertruck that I can get my hands on, there's a very strong possibility that's my next vehicle, because I want to stick with a truck. I want to go electric. I like the Cybertruck. I like it more than like the Ford, F-150 Lightning.
Yeah.
I trust that they are gonna, I'm wary of Ford and GM and all these other manufacturers who are just doing their first, couple rounds of electric vehicles. Like, I'd rather trust Tesla. Because I got a kid, I don't need the headaches of like being the first, the early people on some of these manufacturers' electric vehicles. So give me that Tesla Cybertruck all day.
Dude, I just want to, I wish I was gonna say, I wish I was the guy from RoboCop, RoboCop. But the closest I'll probably get is driving a Cybertruck, and I'm kind of cool with that. Obviously, I don't want to get blown away and then turn into a robot, but definitely, I think it's gonna be fun. Again, it's Elon's like little pet project, and obviously, tons of people are excited about it. And I don't think that even if the price is pretty expensive, that they're gonna see any negative reaction to it. People who like the truck are gonna buy the truck. You know what I mean? It's an acquired taste, but this bear market, if it's nice to us, JWeb, obviously I'll have some Cybertruck money. So let's hope everything works out in that department.
It could also definitely be like a collector's item too, like the very first round of Cybertrucks. Like,
Yeah.
if Tesla goes the direction that we think it will, owning that first model of the Cybertruck could be, I know vehicles depreciate, but this could be one of those. Not saying you should hang your hat on this by any means. Like, don't let that be a tiebreaker for the love of God when it comes to if you're going to buy one of these. Just tossing it out there, something fun to think about. Yeah, Ace is just so out on the Cybertruck. Yeah, I mean, Ace, that doesn't bother me. Like, if the price is lower on the Cybertruck, I'll take that. Like, not going to scare me off.
Yeah, it's bulletproof, man. You need it when you're fighting crime in the inner cities.
That is very true. Okay. Anything else you want to touch on when it comes to Tesla? I think we gave all of our talking points there. I know that you gave your price prediction. I'm not at that point with you. I don't know if it's going to go that low. So I'll probably start buying at about 150, and I'll just buy it on the way down. I don't mind. I don't need to catch the bottom. Just give me let me add to my portfolio as it goes lower.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of bottoms, so I'm gonna make sure I catch that one when it's at 64. That's just the way I'm wired. I see this as huge support. I want to pull up the chart real quick just so we can take a look at Tesla, because we don't often look at it. But yeah, obviously the monthly, if we look at the stochastic RSI, it's very low. This thing can stay down forever. And again, we're going into probably what seems like the heat of a recession, right? We're going into the point where we're probably going to see some negative price action. We're already kind of seeing it. Every time we see a push to the upside, people start selling off, and we've already hit major resistance. So when I look at this, this is the 50 moving average, which is probably going to be some resistance. And it's kind of funny, the 50 right here, because when I was talking about hitting the resistance with before the show, JWeb, that was on the weekly, I believe. And yeah, the weekly is at 184. So 182, 184, there is going to be some resistance there. That's what, in my opinion. Could we go to 203? Sure, but I don't believe it. And again, this is the thing that I'm keeping an eye on. I think here's the 50, here's the 200. I think that we're going to have to try and retest this 200 moving average on the weekly. I think we're going to get rejected from it again, whether it's a sell-off that we see in the entire market, or just, just ends up being, resistance that's strong enough. On the daily, we obviously are extremely overbought, and we're already hitting resistance on the daily 50 moving average at 174. So pushing up a little bit more is definitely possible. However, if we look at the macro, there's probably a lot of other things outside of the technicals that are going to hurt Tesla's price. And I wouldn't be surprised if, again, the technicals, all that stuff just gets thrown out the window and we just see negative price action. And if that's the case, obviously we're going to want to find support at some level. I keep saying $64, $65. I think that's just because we have tons of gaps in between here. Coming down, let's say where we currently are to where my price target is, it's about 62%. I mean, that's massive, right? But if we were to come down to, say, here, that's 42%, and this would have been January of this year. I don't think we're going to do a double bottom. I don't think this was the bottom of Tesla. I think we had a little bit more to go, but we saw that relief rally. And if we look at, let's see here, we see some of this impulsive structure move to the downside. We could say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're coming down for 5, right? So let me see if we can kind of pull that up. I know this is the crazy part of the technical analysis, but let's go to ABCD here, 5-way move. Let's go here, and we're going to say A, B, say this is C, this is D, and then here's E, and let's just clean this up a little bit.
You just want to go through the whole damn alphabet at this point? Like, is that gonna
pretty much
should we take it that direction?
But it is an impulsive move to the downside, and obviously we're seeing the relief rally, which tends to be the D rally. But now we're going to be making that correction to the downside at some point. I think that would be the end of this move. I don't see Tesla going under $64. Again, we got a strong wick here, and then we, where it was extreme resistance. If we go down to the weekly, we broke through it. Now that's become support. It's resistance here, resistance here. We haven't really tested it since. I think we are going to test it one more time, and that's going to be our bottom. And then after that, Kathy Wood says we're going all the way up to like right around here in a bullish case for 2025. Obviously, we're just going to absolutely,
Did she say by 2025? That's what her price target is? I
think it was like 2025 to 2027 that it'd be in that range. So she's extremely bullish. Not a fan of her assessments, but
she was incredibly early on Tesla, so maybe this is the one that she knows best.
Yeah, maybe. It's also it's pretty easy to make money when you have a lot of it. You just need it to go up $1 and you could be a billionaire overnight. So we'll see. I think that Tesla is definitely going to be, in the $500 to $600 range. I don't think that's, crazy to think about. I think it's going to have extremely good growth, but for the time being, my eyes are down, not up for this stock price.
Okay. To answer Ace's question, I'll bring up here. I'm going to remove your screen. I'll share mine real quick. Ace asked, do you really think it's better than the Hummer? We'll do a live comparison. Let's take a little look.
I've never seen the Hummer.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Does it come with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it?
There we go. There we go. So there it is. Here's the Hummer. Here's the Cybertruck. I think I still like the Cybertruck better.
If I were to get rear-ended by one of these, I'd prefer it be the Cybertruck. I'd probably get out of the car and beat the crap out of the guy in the Hummer. I'd be like, what are you doing? But if it's a Cybertruck, I'd be like, oh, that's a pretty nice car. I'm just messing with the A's. I think the Cybertruck, again, still wins for me. I think it's so different. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of these EV vehicles, some of these pickups that they're trying to do, they tried to, I don't know if it's just like everything's concave and kind of like round. I don't appreciate that. Cybertruck is just angular. It looks like a man's vehicle. It looks like a robot man's vehicle. And, this is the type of thing that I would just drive to your mom's house in.
Okay. I think that's a great note for us to end today's show. Kevin's going to get a Cybertruck. I'm going to get a Cybertruck. We're all going to get Cybertrucks. We're going to buy Tesla at 64 a share, ride it up to 600 a share.
And the Nasdaq's going to get cyber fucked once this recession finally hits.
And there you have it. Okay. That's going to wrap it up for today. Appreciate everybody for watching. If you have not yet, go down below, hit the like button, subscribe, drop a comment. The big one would be if you hit that share button and put it out on social media somewhere. That would be greatly appreciated. That helps us a ton. So appreciate your support. Appreciate everybody watching. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place to wrap up the week. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.